Vijay Kumar and Suresh. Prakash is Prakash is that? Before we start, Guru, before we start, I just want to tell you that we have just about an hour's time, and we have 5 panelists here. And due to the time constraint, I think each panelist will have just 8 minutes of time for their presentation. Question and answer session, we will keep it in the last so that we have about 10 to 15 minutes of the question and answer. Please restrict your time to 8 minutes. So, because otherwise, as it is, we are late and we are going to delay the other panelists also. Thank you. And before we start, the first panelist for today's program is Sanjay Kare. Something about himself. Sanjay Kare is a distinguished leader with over 36 years of experience across manufacturing, engineering, and automation domains in the global automotive sector. He served on the executive board of Skoda Auto Volkswagen India, where he led strategic programs on decarbonization, supply chain transformation, integration across complex value chains. Alumnus of IIT Kanpur Management Development Institute, MDI, Gurgaon. Sanjay brings in deep domain expertise in driving operational excellence with sustainability at the core. And invite Sanjay to take it forward. Thank you. Can you get the laptop? Sorry. No problem. We get 12 minutes, 8 minutes. I'll speak for 8 minutes. In 2 minutes, I'll call CI questions in the room. Good morning, all. So my job becomes very difficult to finish off everything in 8 minutes, but I'll try to do justice. But I'll be moving a little fast on my speed. And what you can see over here is there's an image of Mysuru reimagined, MYSURU, as seen by a satellite from NASA of different numbers MU, MYSURU. The entire purpose of bringing this thought is that how we have to reimagine our own Earth by our own lens of sustainability. We have to grow as we have just come across a lot of words on this topic. We have to serve now 8 billion people as against 1 billion in the last century, but everyone has to get the same level of comfort and growth, same level of energy. So yesterday was Earth Day, and I'm really very, very fortunate to speak on the very next day of the Earth Day on this topic. And this also tells us very much that we have to now leave this Earth better for our next generations.
So now we have to reimagine how do we move, make and matter things which are sustainable and economically viable also. I think I'll skip this slide where we are talking a lot about regulations and a lot of ways how how the governments are trying to align the entire world into a direction of sustainability. But what I'll talk about right now is that what will give you all an edge. Edge means how will be differentiated better as others, whether you're an academic, whether you're a student, whether you're working for MSME or working for a big conglomerate like what I worked for earlier. And yes, it's very right what my predecessor just told, that conglomerates are pushing their supply chains in a big way, like we also did our 170 suppliers in a very, very big way. And globally, we have got more than 1 million suppliers, Volkswagen Group, and how we are pulling them across to become carbon neutral worldwide by 2050. So this is going to happen. So we have to all be ready. And what I'm giving you is a very, very quick blueprint of sustainability. So my strategy was all about starting from a materiality analysis, what is important for the company and what is important for the customer. So we start with materiality analysis, do a risk assessment, do an opportunity assessment, and based upon that come out with a materiality statement. Materiality is all about what is important to you and what is important to your stakeholders. Things like product safety, effluent waste management, brand awareness, or climate protection, all these topics came on very high level. And that's where we focused upon, yes, this is what our stakeholders want, and let's work on this topic. And that's where my strategy of decarbonization, coming to a zero impact factory, zero waste circular economy, sustainable retail, water conservation, circular economy, social responsibility, etc. started. Now, in this journey, we made a detailed CO2 roadmap. We assessed where we are right now. And based upon that, we made a plan of this I'm talking of 2020. And 5 years, we have been able to bring down our plant has become 100% carbon neutral. Other plant I could make almost 30% neutral while installing 18.5 megawatt of solar power. This is, you can see how really a huge big 35 football fields of solar power I could install. And all this was done at least, I'll say, at a zero cost. I found out somebody to work on a business model which is very innovative, OPEX model. This is the first car which we made, which is totally made of green energy, and you can see how my each and every parameter of energy, CO2, waste, water came down by almost 60 to 70%. Waste became almost zero from earlier numbers of almost 4.3 tons, 4.3 kg per ton. It becomes almost zero right now. So all these numbers improved, and sustainability is not an operation, is not a cost, it's a compass, and it gives us a competitive edge in terms of pricing. We made a detailed program on how do we really, like a mind map was shown earlier, we also made a detailed program on how we become totally circular economy company in all our operations. We got zero waste to landfill certifications for our operations all over. The number of initiatives are taken to reduce, recycle, reuse of our sealers, of our various paints. So even various waste paints are now given to a recycling company to make a paint for the structures, primer for the structures. Rainwater harvesting, biodiversity increased by almost 30% from 250 species to 320 species over a period of 4 years' time. And we started conserving water in our nearby communities, and we got a beyond zero, we've got a water positive status. Now all this was very, very important to really make our own operations, internal operations, carbon neutral. We did it. But now we had a bigger challenge of how do we work with our products, how we work with our value chains. And this is where I took the very help of CIA's Eco Age program. And I've got CIS ESG, Ms. Priyanka also sitting over here. See, Priyanka, can you stand up and let everybody see her? So if anybody has got any question on this Age program, she'll be holding her stall outside during the lunch break. Please do talk to her, and in the end also I'll call her for a minute to explain the program. Sit down, please. So second is all about how do we make our products carbon neutral, and then how do we make those products which many companies are doing, like how to become carbon negative, like you make those tiles which are always sucking the carbon from the atmosphere, or how do you use the waste carbon dioxide to dye the t-shirts, or how do you really sequestrate carbon. So these are new technologies to be working upon. 5 years back, nobody knew about what called sustainable aviation fuel. Today, almost 50 tons is being manufactured as a sustainable aviation fuel, and it will go like anything. a sort of detailed sustainability roadmap we made on the various areas of climate protection, also on new learnings, what we can build embedded, what we can be famous for, what we can maintain our expected position, and how we can manage and engage with the various regulators and stakeholders. So this is what our broad roadmap came up, where we ensured that how our entire product roadmap moves from carbon efficient vehicles to zero carbon vehicles. And this is where I'm really working right now, from assembly line through an idea garage, working closely with various startups all over the country. More than 20 startups I work with who are on circular economy, also on the new software codes, also on the new technologies, so that we can make absolutely those future ready vehicles. In our value chain, we thought the next challenge where I took the real big help of the EcoEdge program. I spotted first 15 suppliers out of the entire range of 150 I had, and almost 600 dealers I had. Out of that, the 15 were selected, and they were put through a very rigorous process of training on decarbonization, on circular economy, health, safety, and human rights with the help of CII. And first 6 months were a challenge. I did not find any sustainability champions in these companies who can really work with us. But they were very, very patient and really helped us out to daily talk to them. And then they had a wonderful tool with them. In that tool, we could really help people to understand where do they lie. It was a very non-invasive type of academic tool, where everybody would give their own data, and then they could get to know where they stand on decarbonization, sustainability, and other topics, ESG, circular economy topics. And then whole big guidance came through them, through my entire value chain. What we had done inside started percolating outside, the type of energies and type of amounts of money I had saved upon. For example, instead of buying 1.5 crores unit of electricity every year at 8 rupees, I was generating at 3 rupees on my own rooftops. So all this energy started passing on to my suppliers, and that's why more and more started coming up, opening up, and now we have got 150 of them. 50 of them who are working along with the EcoEdge program, and we call them and felicitate them all together on Delhi's national stage every year in September in the national CII conference that is arranged. And that's where I'll request now Priyanka to come and quickly tell about this tool, and I'll be more than happy to be available for this talk and any details you want. I'm now based out of Bangalore. I'll be more than happy to really support and handhold with any of the industries or academic institutions. I already work with IIM Bangalore and IIT Kanpur on these topics as a mentor, as a visiting professor. And so here's to Priyanka.
Thank you, sir. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Priyanka Chaudhary. I'm representing CII Center of Excellence for Sustainable Development. I know we are running short of time, but I'll quickly take 2 minutes to introduce our services to you. So as the center, we are also part of CII. So CII has got multiple Center of Excellences, right? So one is Center of Excellence for Sustainable Development, where we cater to all areas of sustainability, whether an organization is looking for decarbonization pathways, whether they're looking for biodiversity strategy, whether they're looking for ESG strategies in their organizations. We are helping them with all of that. But today I'm going to specifically talk about the ESG services that we are offering. So holistically, if I look at the ESG space, and my fellow speakers have already talked about how important it is in terms of mandates, BRSR, compliances coming into picture, other international mandates coming into picture. So that is where, as a one-stop solution, we are offering in form of our ESG services 2-3 core areas of work which we represent. One, where we are doing one-to-one customized training programs, in-house training programs for the companies. So any company who wants to train their employees, tell them what basics of ESG are, what are the concepts, what are the mandates, any systematic customized programs that they want to have, we do that for them. It could be virtual, it could be in-house training programs that we do. Second area of work, and which is very important, where we use our AI tools. We have 2 tools as is displayed on the screen, ESG Intelligence and EcoEdge. EcoEdge, my fellow speaker, Mr. Sanjay Khare, talked about. ESG Intelligence is where we are helping companies for their own ESG strategy. We give them roadmaps, which are very detailed strategic roadmaps, short-term, long-term, and medium-term and long-term, where they can take actions, and we help them take those actions. And second is EcoEdge, which is for suppliers. And I think in the first session, the inaugural session, somebody talked about that it is very important to have supplier certifications on sustainability. EcoEdge programs helps them achieve that. So we provide through a very rigorous assessment process. At the end of the process, we tell them roadmaps, how you can improve your sustainability practices, but at the same time, we also give them sustainable vendor certification to show to the market and to other their sourcing or other of their sourcing companies that we are a sustainable vendor in the market and you can source from me if you want to source green materials. So this is just our ESG impact, how we have been working over the last 2-3 years. I'm not going to take much time on this one. This is the program that Mr. Sanjay Khare also introduced, where we are focusing on decarbonization, circularity, human rights and health and safety, basically all aspects of ESG. There's a governance parameter also. And at the end, we are finally giving companies the roadmaps to improve on their ESG performance, specifically suppliers and dealers. So EcoEdge deals with value chains, not the companies. For the companies, we have ESG intelligence. These are the kind of outcomes we give, the total score, the maturity-based certification as I talked to you about, which level of maturity they're falling into, which they can show to their sourcing companies, and we give them very detailed improvement roadmaps. This is because it is based on a tool. These are some of the tool snapshots. This framework is also helping companies prepare for the mandates. It is aligned with BRSR core, as I told you, which is SEBI's mandate for Indian companies and value chains. So when a supplier is providing data on this tool, we also tell them how much are you aligned with BRSR core disclosures? Where do you need to improve further? Whether data is available or not available. So it basically helps them prepare for upcoming national and international mandates. One important part that we are doing is we are helping suppliers monitor their GHG emissions. So there are many suppliers who don't know where to start. We give them that start. That if you want to move on a pathway of decarbonization, you first have to monitor your emissions, and that's where our tool comes into picture. We help them take the data and we help them with the basics, as basic as monitoring their scope 1 and scope 2, and then telling them how you can reduce your scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. This is just a case study. I'm not going to further put emphasis on that. These are case studies that we have worked on. ESG diagnostics, again, as I told you, this is only for the company to help them build their own ESG strategy before they push the needle ahead to the value chain. Again, there are outcomes, scorecard reports, and maturity-based certification, which we provide to the companies as well. So we have a booth outside in the Expo. If you want to have more details on the ESG services, I'll be there to help you out and provide you more details on the services. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Dr. M. Prakash Kulkarni. He is a graduate in civil engineering from BVB College of Engineering and Tech, Hubli. MTech in environmental engineering from SJC, Mysore. His PhD in Techno-Legal Indisciplinary from National Law School of India, University, Bengaluru. He is a water and sanitation specialist over nearly 40 years of experience in rural and urban areas, both under public with environment of private sector. He is the president of Bhagirath, a technical NGO, and managing director of JMS Biotech Private Limited. He is co-opted as an expert in the state level Apex Committee in the implementation of Government of India, Government of Karnataka programs, namely Advisory Committee PPP GOK, Swachh Bharat Mission, Jai Jeevan Mission, RDPR, Government of Karnataka. Welcome, sir.
This one, sir. This one, sir. Control. Steering change. It is use this one change.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman and my co-speakers. What I will do is I will finish in 10 minutes. 8 plus 2. I drew inspiration from the previous speaker. Now, we look at water bodies only. Very specific. I will set the context. What we do, we provide solutions. So I will not go through these 2 slides, what biotech does. We are solution providers. If the work involves in water and waste, a consultancy, we do consultancy. If it means DBOT, we do DBOT. If somebody says you can't operate, we operate. We have all necessary approvals, all compliance intact. including FCRA. We work with a technical NGO by name Bhagirath, which is more than 25-year-old. And to set the background now, it was first the CSR, the corporate philanthropy, which came about 10 years back. Then you had the United Nations declaring Sustainable Development Goals. A lot of things were spoken in the inauguration session, so I will pick up something from there. The Vice Chancellor said our SDG performance is abysmally low and we are just 16%. We have only 5 years left. By 2030, we have 5 years left and we are only 16%, 84% to be achieved. Water constitutes more than 1/3 of the goals that are stated in the SDG. If you don't take care of water, 1/3 of the goals gone. And United Nations General Secretary said, if there is no water, there is no future only. So where is question of anything else? Importance of water came only in 1972 when UN Mar-del Plata conference took a note of the crisis that may possibly come up after a few decades. We are just 50 years from then. Ecosystem restoration also came up in the decade 2020-2030. Again, we are just 5 years away from that. So what is CSR? Is a subset of ESG. If CSR can do a lot of things which can give them visibility and impact, I think that's where I come from. And two things are important. Climate change is real. Biodiversity loss is real. If you take care of water, I think we have reasonably done a good work. Now, why do you talk of water bodies restoration? Water bodies, source is only rainfall. You have tanks, you have lakes, you have rivers, you have streams, you have ocean. Let's leave the ocean for a second. We'll look at the fresh water. Now, urbanization is real. So, water everywhere, not a single drop to drink was something what we are taught. Now, there is another phrase, water everywhere, but it is dirty now. I'm not getting to the water stress. We'll look at the water body restoration and how we can leverage ESG and also CSR. Climate action, water security, extremely critical. Karnataka is worst affected, next only to Rajasthan. 40 blocks are already water stressed and we are evolving water security plans for those talukas. If there is no rain, if there is no tank, if there is no stream, perennial source of water, then where do people go? So we are preparing a water security plan that remain a concern. Biodiversity, livelihood, community resilience and corporate alignment. I think most of them can be addressed if you take care of one critical resource called water. Now we talk of decarbonization. Again, one single action, many things taken care. It's a good carbon sink, efficient utilization to recharge groundwater, to provide water for agriculture, food security, energy reduction, maybe for cooling or for irrigation. Then you talk of circular economy. I think best addressed through one item called water. Actually, there is only one water. We compartmentalize and give so many names to it, groundwater, bore water, well water, but there was only one water, and which was very precious, critical. A lot of people talked about is it an economic good, it is a social good. We'll forget all that. It is essential component, and it is also available. Very few places it is not available. Faces continued neglect. It is continuously neglected. If you look at the percentage of spending, it is not more than 3% by any elected government. It's a state subject, so our spending is extremely low, so cannot do a lot of meaningful work. CSR funding is increasing in the environment sector. That's a good thing, I thought. So if you have to grow ESG sensitivity, I think our focus on water should be really good. Yesterday was the World Water Day. I think one slide I slipped out. Yesterday was World Earth Day, and in Bangalore I saw the Times of India, page number 10. This is the real and the stark reality. Look at this. People are, that lady is getting to the open well to fetch water. Another village, Akola, they are getting water once in 30 days. What happened to Jal Jeevan Mission, Har Ghar Nal, tap water, functional tap? I don't know. The third was still Trichy, water is contaminated. So all three in only one article, one single page. Now, why do you have to restore a water body? If urbanization is real, now all these lakes or the ponds or the tanks which our ancestors have built was to give water security to the communities which lived nearby. They mostly served the need for irrigation water for the crops. That is what they were meant to do. When we laid the UGD system and laid the manual also in the same nalas which were supposed to reach fresh water, all the Raj Kalwe started taking the sewage water and also the industrial waste. The nutrient load went on going up, nitrogen, phosphorus. Then you had the fish kill. When fish kill came, everybody opened their eyes and said, why have the fish died? Fish died because there is no oxygen. And if you want to build a STP to meet discharge standards of NGT or pollution control, it is massively expensive. They don't have space to build. So what do? So we started focusing on that. Look at the statistics. 70% of the water is contaminated, and 40% of the lakes are missing now. Toilets are missing in Karnataka, but lakes are also missing. Swachh Bharat Mission. Karnataka was the first state when they declared lakhs of toilets missing. People who came from there asking what is the meaning of missing toilet? Very difficult to explain. Now, why should corporate get involved now? ಜಲಾಮೃತ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ವಿಧಾನಸೌಧಕ್ಕೆ ಕರೆದಿದ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ. ನಾ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಮಂತ್ರಿಯವ್ರಿಗೆ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರಿ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರಿ, ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಬೇರೆದವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ. When you don't say it, we always believe that government is going to do so many things, but it has got a lot of limitations. With freebies, political, populistic measures, extremely difficult for them to spend their time, energy and thought and bring in innovation that is required to cut down cost. So in spite of having Jal Shakti Abhiyan, Amrut, Namami Gange, all that, I think there's still a lot of scope for innovation, flexibility in implementation. I think that is what we pray for the CSR. So I'm making an appeal on behalf of the water body which is silent, Papa. ಅದೇನು ಹೋಗಿತ್ತೀರಿ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೈತೆ. ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಐ ಫೌಂಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ವಾಟರ್, ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಟು ಡೂ ನೌ? ಸೊ can corporates make that impact? 100% yes. We have worked with Infosys, we have worked with Elsita, we work with Bombasindra Industrial Area, is a very small industry, a lot of MSMEs are there. They also did one lake restoration. So I still feel, I think, for corporate involvement to make that impact, to make them very visible and a very good work, because the government doesn't do much in this space, I think we seek support from the corporates. No, I'll show you only two success stories. There are many. We have done some hundreds of lakes we have done. I'm not going to take up these. I'll show you only two. Hebgode was the Biocon Foundation. This happened about 6-7 years back. Completely dead lake. It's eutrophication agide. Fishes have died. All in the bad news. Takes for the committee to approve this when there is no space to build and you don't have money to spend. The committee takes 1 year to agree. The chairperson of Biocon takes 1 year to agree. We do work 4 months. We are in Limca Book of World Records. This is what you find in just 4 months. Not very difficult, but you need innovative approach. This was Hebgode Lake, how it looked, and after maybe 6 months, this is how it looked like. Kurgal is another lake we just started now, about a month back, with the CSR support from Automotive Axles and Meritor. Again, KIDB road divides the lake, completely polluted. Most of the lakes in the urban areas under state of neglect. Maybe the jurisdictional issues are there, they're transferred to CMCs, corporations, but in the end, all the waste is dumped there, nobody takes care. So this work we started in Kurgali last month. This is Dodda Togur in Bangalore again, and this is people don't have money, and everybody thinks that you need big money to restore a water body, which is not true. Depending on how much your money you have, if you have some water body nearby, there is lot of meaningful work which can happen. This Dodda Togur, they had a drain which was going and not much of money spent. This is the water quality that you could find. So no energy, no much of O&M. So depend how much of money we have, we can have the interventions done to clean up that water. Now this another work which you do is corporate volunteering. This another activity. Volunteering, and we always thought it is only to plant trees. We planted trees, but who watered after that? So our job is only water. So we tell you fund for planting, we will go and water. That's what we do. So this we had in many places, Delhi, Chennai, everywhere. It's a good initiative. People are very excited. When they found instead of sapling, no, we can also put in the water only. So hot water is always there, sun is there, nutrients are there in plenty because it is in the wastewater itself. So we will not fail. Forest trees may dry, but this will not happen. The only risk we run is if that plant dies, we will go and replace it, we have a boat there. What does the restoration process actually involve? It involves preparing a DPR, extremely critical. We found a lot of works being done without a DPR, which is not very correct. You have a good engineering DPR, no matter how much money you have got, you can take up in phases. So what does a DPR involve? It involves some good surveys, understanding what's gone wrong, what is the purpose of that water body improvement, and then make a cost estimate and the designs. Now, there are so many components. People are worried about pergola, Miyawaki, and sitting benches, but the water is polluted. BBMP sent me to a lake in Bangalore. They told me, Kulkarni, anyway you are doing garbage work in that Ballalli, why don't you see this lake in Yelahanka? I go at 11 o'clock, some people are coming by walk, they ask me a question, sir, why you have come? I said, they asked me to come and see. No sir, if the bird flies, you should not do any work. Arey Baba, I have not seen only Baba, it is under forest department, so he thinks if the bird flies away, we are doing something harm. I told him, no worry, I'll just see and go. Then some people are in the park, they are saying, sir, in this park there is a problem, the water is smelling. I said, no, Baba, this is not park, this is lake, which BBMP has converted into a park, and we walkers think it is a park. So don't worry, whatever money you have got, you can just limit yourself to curves, drain. I'll show some interesting photos and I conclude. De-weeding is extremely critical. Hebbar Lake Infosys is also completely, Kurgal is also complete. It is a mat which is formed. We have to remove that. You need to form the bund. No more irrigation from these urban lakes. It's purely recreational or for recharging groundwater. We can create some small bund, do some desilting, not to create the storage to meet the original bund tank capacity, but to the extent that there is always water. Walkways, in case you can, people want to walk, and if you can maintain it properly, then you can do this. Stone pitching is extremely critical to make sure the bunds are in proper shape. You can build some small check dams to improve quality of water. That becomes an integral part of the water quality improvement. Fencing is extremely critical. Don't worry about encroachment. We spent years of time only encroachment, trying to identify who has encroached, how has encroached. Then we told finally, don't worry. ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಬಂದರು ಒಳಚರಂಡಿಯಿಂದ ನೀರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಕೆರೆಯಾಗಿ ಹರಿಯೋದು ಎನ್ಕ್ರೋಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ತಲೆಗೆ ಶೋಭೆ ನಂದೆ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಎಸ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಗುಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ water restoration is very complex, not very easy. Among all the water in the world, the most complex ecosystem, if you want to try your competence, is take an urban lake. You can clean a river, no problem. You can bring water, Rajasthan, storage structures, all fine. But this urban ecosystem and the lake is so complex. There is so much of flora, fauna, walking, dumping, garbage, very, very difficult. So we are taking this only now. Restoring water body is not just an environmental effort, but it's also our concern. And we have become so, they're talking about sensitivity. We have lost so much of sensitivity. ಪಕ್ಕದಾಗ ಕಸ ಒಗಿತಾರ ಕಸ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಡ್ರೈನ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರ ಡ್ರೈನ್ ಹೋಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆರೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನಮಗೇನು ಅನಿಸೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ we have become, and we always believe that government should do something very, very difficult, not very easy. Government doesn't have that much of resources, competence and inclination to do that. So my request would be, if CSR can identify this particular act of wherever your industry is located. That's how we found automotive access. We found it because it's very close to them, Kurgali. If you can do that within the available means, or 4 or 5 of the industries can come together to fund a project. You need a good DPR. You need a good DPR. If it means joining hands with other corporates who are in the same vicinity, and if they feel yes, this belongs to us, I'm sure government will wake up. If you can make Jal Jeevan Mission and water supply scheme, where 10% is contributed by the community and 90% government contributes, why not that happen here? It can happen here as well. There are new initiatives. I think so that is something that we can possible. And before I end, we talked about safety in the inaugural session. They're talking about safety. Volo talked about safety. Water supply is all about safety only, no contamination. A safe drinking water provision itself is highest 10,500. What is sanitation is safe disposal. I think this safe word was lost by all of us. We created capacity, we built plants, but when it came to operational maintenance, when it came to making those assets perform, has not been very good. And this is not a sector where you can ask people to pay for it. When rice is only free, we will pay for water, very complex. So those people who are in water sector will find it extremely difficult to make people pay for our services. So whether garbage, whether sewage, whether what, extremely difficult. So I look forward to CSR for their support. And since water cannot pray, the water bodies can't pray, I pray on their behalf. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. And water being a very interesting subject, and that is my favorite topic actually. When you say about water, CSR, see, we as a company, we have invested a huge on the CSR part for the Hebbal Lake. But every year we have been investing money on that. But nevertheless, you have to see the Hebbal Lake now with a lot of sewage, ETP water, STP water, everything coming in. I think the government must take a lot of action on this. It's not just spending money from the CSR, but at the same time taking care of it. Thanks. It was an interesting thing. Next speaker will be Arjun. His profile is environment engineer with 12 years of experience in water treatment, wastewater treatment and reuse, wastewater management, zero liquid discharge, water audit, environmental compliance management. He's a managing director of Paramavir Engineering and Consultants Private Limited, leading a team of environment engineers and establish sustainable treatment facilities for better of the environment. Please come on.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone. So I will be talking about the decarbonization in water. So as sir said, water is available in plenty, but it is dirty. That's very, very true, no doubt about it. So we use a lot of energy for water supply, water extraction, water treatment, wastewater treatment. But how we can reduce that greenhouse gas emission during this entire process? So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. So, with respect to water, the water sector contribution to carbon emission is like this. So, if we use 1 metric cube, that is 1,000 liters of water, it emits around 10.5 kg of CO2. It's a global average that is being shown here. And the energy consumption from the water sector, considering including the entire global ecosystem, so 5 to 15% of the energy consumption is happening for the water sector, basically. And out of the total GHG emission, around 5 to 10% of GHG emission is from the water sector. It may be in industries, it may be in any other sector, maybe in a private or public, but the total contribution is around 5 to 10%. So when we look at water, so it is one of the contributor to the GHG emission, but yes, we cannot live without water, so we need to have water extraction, supply, treatment systems. But how we can reduce the GHG emission from these systems will be the key point that we have to be looking at. There are various ways in which it can be done very easily and even economically. So the avenues for GHG reduction in water sector is, one is the use of energy efficient equipment, because the entire water supply or treatment happens because of the equipment that we use. So they are the ones who consume very huge amount of energy. So we can use energy efficient equipments. We can use automation systems which can enhance the efficiency of the treatment systems and reduce the power consumption and give a better results also. And then the hydropneumatic pumping systems, which is a very and a very important part of the pumping system, which can be used to reduce the energy consumption by even up to 50%. And cascaded use of water, which is there from a very long time in industries, and even now the municipalities are also showing interest of using the treated sewage for the industries. And we'll be just dwelling into each and everything. So when we come to energy efficient equipment, so we all use pumps for the pumping of the water, and we use the motors for that. The pump is driven by motors, and these motors are having energy efficiency class, that is IE2, IE3 and IE5. So these are the three classes of energy of the motors that currently being used across India, I can say. But the world has changed moved from IE2 to IE3, and even IE5 is very widely implemented in other countries. But in India, still IE2, IE3, IE5 is still in use. But if we compare the use of IE2, IE3 and IE5, so with respect to the cost, obviously IE5 is very costly compared to IE2 or IE3 motors. But when we look at the energy consumption over a period of 1 year, and considering a 15 kilowatt motor as an example, so we can see that there is a reduction of around 9,200 kilowatt hours per year from the use of IE5 motors. So and with this use, we can even get the ROI of the investment within 2 to 3 years. So it is not that IE5 motors are very costly, so we cannot go for a investment, and if we go for investment, we will not get the returns. Actually, it is not like that. That is a myth that is being followed. But actually, it gives a very good returns. But it is based on case to case basis. If your equipment is running continuously, then it will give a returns even very soon. But if the motor use is intermittent, then that return may little prolong. So and this is the typical efficiency of the IE2, IE3, IE5 also. So you can see IE5 is having 96% of efficiency in terms of energy energy. So IE5 motors usage can really reduce your GHG emission from the water. It may be in the supply, it may be distribution, treatment. So that is one part that can be looked in by industries, especially who can invest and get the returns at the earliest also. And the second thing is with respect to the automation of the pumping and treatment system. If we look at the water sector itself, like extraction, supply, water treatment and wastewater treatment. So the contribution of extraction and supply is around, including together, around 65% is there, and water treatment and wastewater treatment is around 20% is there. So with the help of automation, so what is the energy savings that can be achieved in these steps? is something that we have shown here. So in terms of extraction, we can reduce by 10% with the use of automation systems, 20 to 30% in supply systems, and 15 to 40% in water and wastewater treatment systems with the use of automation. You know, automation is becoming a very important part in our day-to-day life and also in the industrial process. A lot of industrial processes are already automated, but unfortunately the treatment systems, which plays a very vital role in conservation of the environment, are still manually operated. So there we can have this automation as a very key component to, one is to reduce the energy consumption, which obviously reduce the cost, and also the second thing is we will have a very efficient quality of, very consistent quality of water, which makes that water reusable for your industrial processes. So getting a consistent quality is a very important part in reusing the water, because everybody will have a ETP, but finally why people do not use the ETP or STP treated water? Because people say it's dirty, because it is not, because the treatment is not happening properly. So automation can mitigate that problem and give a consistent quality of treated water, and even with that we can reduce the energy consumption also. So what are the automation possibilities in water supply and distribution, which almost contributes to around 30% of the energy consumption in water sector? So we can, you have a flow-based water distribution systems, especially in industries it is quite possible. So based on the flow requirements, the pumping systems can be automatically operated, so that there is no manual intervention, and the water availability is always ensured to the end user. And hydromatic pumping system, which I will dwell in little detail also in the coming slides. And now there are smart leak detection and water loss prevention systems, which are using AI and ML tools to ensure that in your distribution system the water losses are minimized or almost removed from your system, which ensures a better water supply. Like as I said, if you reduce the water consumption also, it will contribute to a reduced GHG emission. So these smart leak detection and the water loss prevention systems are widely now being used in industries to reduce the leakage and also to reduce the water consumption, so that their entire water footprint will come down. And predictive analysis for water demand and supply. So this is something that needs to gain momentum, especially in India. So, but this is already being practiced in other countries. So where with respect to the water demand for the city or for a very large township or apartment, so the water demand can be analyzed based on the previous data, and based on that the pumping systems can be optimized to ensure that your energy consumption also will come down, but the water demand is always met. So these are the possibilities of automation in terms of water supply and distribution systems. And when we come to the treatment systems, which is a very major part, it may be water treatment or wastewater treatment. Again, we have some sensors like DO or level-based or aeration systems can be implemented, and we can use level-based equipment operation also, which from which we will be able to reduce the air which is being given to the treatment system. Because in a treatment plant, just to give an insight to that, the aeration system is the one that consumes majority of the power. Almost 60 to 70% is because of the aeration system, and remaining 30% is because of the pumps. So it is very obvious to attack the big elephant which is consuming a huge amount of power. So when we connect this, when we use these smart sensors and link it with the aeration system, that is the air blower or other aeration systems, which will reduce the energy consumption, because the aeration is happening because of the DO required, based on the actual DO, but not on a predictive DO or a design DO. So, and that is the DO that we have to actually maintain. It is not that we simply keep on giving the air unnecessarily for the systems. So that is one thing. And now there are AI and ML based operational analysis operation and analysis tools are also available now, and even for control of the treatment plants also. Again, it is not yet very widely implemented in India, but in abroad this already researchers are going on, and even the implementation also is going on as of now. So with which the entire treatment plant is automated based on the data. It's not based on some assumptions or based on some design parameters, but based on the actual data. It may be with respect to the inlet parameters, or it may be with respect to the DO, or it may be with respect to the outlet quality of the water. So all these things are taken into the picture, fed into an AI and ML model, which will be bettering from day by day, and which ensures the better output or better control of the treatment plant compared to only automation. So now the world is moving from automation to autonomous also. So in that journey, this AI and ML based operation analysis and control tools plays a very major role. And also real-time inlet and outlet water quality monitoring also plays a very major role in terms of reducing the energy consumption in a treatment plant. So we have just given one case study of an Bangalore based covert space which adopted an IoT based STP operation system. So after this implementation, their freshwater consumption had reduced by 30% because they are able to get consistent quality of STP treated water for their reuse. So that is the major thing. So they reduce their freshwater consumption and their overall cost of operation also reduced by 50%. Finally, when we talk about GHG reduction or water consumption reduction, finally there should be a monetary benefit. And that is how the world actually works. It is not that if we say that for the environment we have to do, nobody will do. And till now, I think where there are very few companies who are very conscious about environment, whom are very ready to invest very high amount of the resources also. But in practicality, it is very important that we have to make it economical. Whatever may be the solution that we are providing, it has to be economical and giving a good returns. So because of that, we have reduced the cost of operation also got reduced by 50%, which is a win-win situation. And energy consumption got reduced by 15% by controlling the equipment based on the DO and the level. So this is a case study with which it is proven that the automation can reduce the overall energy consumption in the water sector, and automation of water and wastewater treatment can reduce CO2 emission by 20 to 30% compared to manual operation. So that is one avenue that can be looked into. And as I already said about hydrodynamic systems, this is something that is gaining a good momentum in terms of usage in India now. So wherever there is an intermittent water usage is there, or we have to maintain a constant pressure in terms of all the usage points. So in all these places, this hydrodynamic system plays a very major role. Example maybe water supply in townships or apartments, flushing and horticulture. So in these things, the people will be using water at different times, at different quantity and at different volume. So in terms of that, if we have to supply a constant amount of water and with the constant pressure, hydrodynamic system plays a very major role. It will also have a energy consumption reduction by up to 50%, considering a pump running continuously 24/7, even though the water requirement may not be there. But if we use an hydrodynamic system in that place where the water is fed based on the requirement of the end user, not as per the prediction by the pump operator, but as the end user. So automatically the energy consumption will also come down because it's a completely VFD operated systems will be there, and it will also reduce the water consumption by 10 to 15%. And there is no manual operation of equipments are required in industries, because generally people will have a big team to operate the entire treatment, the pumping system. So this hydrodynamic systems will even reduce the manpower requirement also. So again, it's a win-win situation for the industries. And another old proven good concept which is there from a long time is cascaded use of water. So the cascaded use of water is using one process blow down as a feed for another process. So this is a very widely followed process. I think this we are in our houses. I think our culture has taught us to do this from a long time, but I think in industries it has to be implemented in a very wide scale. There are a lot of industries who have already explored this as an option and doing a very good job in this, but there is always a scope for improvement. So when we use a fresh water for a boiler or a cooling tower or even for a process, so there will be a blowdown or a wastewater generated from that. So in some cases that water can be directly used without treatment, and in some cases that water can be used without treatment also. So when we use it without treatment, like for example, I am taking a case of the steel plant, one of the steel plant where the boiler and cooling tower blowdown water is used for ore beneficiation and horticulture, and the water from the ore beneficiation is again used for quenching. So there will be a lot of slag that is generated in a steel plant, which will be very hot in nature. To handle it, it has to be cooled down. So to cool that, we need water. So instead of using fresh water, the wastewater coming from a beneficiation plant can be used for that quenching, and even the ETP treated water can be used for the process again after the very good treatment, and even for the ore beneficiation or cooling tower. So like this usage of one process discharge as a feed for another process with or without treatment is a very important way of reducing the water consumption and also reducing the GHG emission from the water sector. So it is proven that it will reduce at least 10 to 30% of the fresh water consumption depending on the scale and type of the industry. And it will also reduce 5 to 15% of energy consumption in the entire the industry also. And it will contribute for more than 20% of reduction cost in water treatment and management, because nowadays water cost is very high in terms, especially for industries. Those who are from industries know that pain very clearly. So everybody is having a target to reduce the water consumption, especially the fresh water consumption or intake from the government as much as possible. So to do that, cascaded will help a lot in terms of reducing the fresh water consumption and also to reduce the cost associated with that. And it will also help to achieve the ZLD. Zero liquid discharge is a important requirement for a lot of industries, a majority of category of industries. So to achieve the ZLD, it is important to ensure that the water generated within the industry is reused within the industry, so that you need not to go for a complex treatment systems or go for a very high cost consuming treatment systems. So that is how the cascade use of water can also help to achieve the ZLD. So with all these efforts of one is energy efficient equipment, automation, cascade use of water and hydrodynamic systems, the overall the GHG emission in the water sector can be reduced in terms of considering 100%, which can be at least reduced by 20 to 30% is the global number that is available. But it is very important for the industries and the organizations to implement these systems, maybe even in a phased manner, to ensure that we reach the target of net zero by 2070. And as I already said, water sector also contributes to a good amount of GHG emission. So reducing the GHG emission from water sector will obviously contribute to the industry's overall target of becoming net zero. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arjun, and very interesting topic again on water. And our next speaker for today is Vijay Kumar Nagaraju. He is a corporate environment sustainability and ESG Brigade Enterprises Limited, Bengaluru, with over 20 years of experience in sustainability, environment, social and corporate governance, climate risk strategy with statutory and voluntary reporting and rating of ESG performance for the organization. He's going to talk about the green real estate. I'm not sure if you have got a presentation. So you would like to add a few words or something like that? It's fine.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank CIA, Mysore Chapter and SJC Science and Technology University for giving me the opportunity to be in this panel with sharing with eminent speakers and industry experts. Well, due to some communication gap, I couldn't share presentation. I couldn't be part of the paid panel discussion. So I'm sorry for that. Well, so I represent real estate sector. I handle sustainability and ESG for Brigade Group. So we all know, or most of us know that real estate is one of the polluting industry, where it accounts for 40%, 35 to 38% of global carbon emissions, which comes from building sector, and we consume about 32 to 34% of global energy. We consume fresh water, any sort of water, which accounts to 22 to 24% of global water. So we have a very good and very big share of resource consumption across the globe. So it is a demanding and essential responsibility for us to do our development in a responsible way. And Brigade being a responsible developer, we always say Brigade is a responsible developer. So sustainability is in our forefront. Whatever we do, we embed sustainability element into our design, process, development, and operations. So well, under the able leadership of Dr. Jaishankar, our chairman, and the Pavitra Shankar and Nirupa Shankar, the MD and joint MD of the group. So sustainability being there from the inception of our organization. Way back in 1996, we got the first ISO 9001 certification for quality management system. I think we were the first South Indian company to get that quality management system certification, and we were second in the country. And in 1998, we got the certification for OSHA 18001. And in 1999, we got the certification for EMS, ISO 14001. So our journey started from there. And when there was no sustainability talk in the sector, we started developing a green building. Green building in the sense the certified green building. So our first reported certified green building we developed way back in 2013. Uh, the certification got in 2013, but the first development started in 2011 itself. So as of now, we have about 6.5 million of certified green building portfolio with us, both resi as well as commercial, including retail and hospitality operations. Uh, so these were the things what we were doing before sustainability came into picture, and slowly we came in the picture of reporting the sustainability efforts as per the SEBI compliance. We started reporting our first sustainability report, voluntary report, in the year 2019 for the year 1819, as per GRI guidelines. Then we started reporting our first BRR, business responsibility report. Earlier it used to be BRR in the year 2021 for the year 2021. So as the SEBI mandated the BRSR report for top 1000 listed companies in 2022, for the year 22-23 it was a voluntary. We started reporting the voluntary reporting with all our efforts, and for the first time we started reporting the scope 3 emissions. So before that we used to report only scope 1 and scope 2, which is quite easy for anybody to do. But in 23 we started reporting the scope 3 emissions with applicable scope 3 categories for the real estate sector and for our operations. Then what we thought whatever we are doing, it's not enough. The industry is growing and the industry is marching ahead of us, and there are some leaders in sustainability like Loda, then Godrej. They are doing pretty good. They are the leaders because they have been doing this from past 20-25 years, and we are also in the journey. So in South India, I think I would probably say with the efforts what we are doing in Brigade, I can probably say that we are taking that space to become a sustainability leader in South India. So in 2022, we started assessing our baselines, where we stand with respect to sustainability performance. What is our performance index? So we assessed all our operations and processes with respect to the market. We did the peer assessment, where we stand with respect to our key peers, both national and international peers. We could able to see a lot of gaps, and we started working on bringing the required strategies to embed the sustainability elements into our business operations. We did the policy assessment. Policy makes a basic document for anybody to progress on, which is like a commitment. So we did the policy assessment aligned with what the regulators are looking, what the reporting agencies and the rating frameworks are reporting frameworks and rating agencies are looking. So with that, we developed about 12 policies covering E, S, and G elements. 12 policies in a year, it's a quite good number for any organization to come up with. Then we also revisited our materiality assessment. Earlier, before 2022, there used to be about 6 key material topics what we used to concentrate and work upon. But in 2022-23, we revisited our materiality assessment and we brought up about 12 key material topics. Out of 24 material topics, the key significant material topics, 12 material topics have been identified and prioritized to focus on and to work upon. So based on the key materiality topics, we also taken a significant amount of the targets what we have set for the organization, quite ambitious. I would like to tell what are the targets what we have set for the organization. The net zero carbon emission target. It is quite fancy and quite ambitious, but the challenge is humongous. But we have set the target in line with the Paris Agreement 2015 for 1.5 degrees Celsius. So currently we are working on target setting with SBTA, Science Based Target Initiative. The target setting, the registration process is done. 2 years back only we had submitted our commitment letter. So right now strategy part is done. The registration part is going on. Maybe by end of next week we're going to submit our targets. We may have to wait for the 3-4 months to get the targets validated by SPDA. Then we have a target of one more ambitious target, but achievable, the RE100. So having a complete renewable energy mix in our operations by 2040. Right now we are having about 11% of our energy mix comes from renewable energy, which is not so big numbers, I would say, but we are working on enhancing those numbers, and we are in discussion with some of the service providers to go for a captive power plant as a group. Maybe to start with, maybe we are planning to go for about 50 to 60 megawatt solar power plant. Down the line, maybe another 2 years, we'll be having our own captive power plant. Then one more ambitious target is water positivity. Water positivity is also very challenging. So I would say from my experience, we may not be able to achieve the water positivity internally in this sense in our own operational control. So as Kulkarni sir was mentioning, we have a fair opportunity to go for out of our boundary and rejuvenate some of the water bodies. We are already doing it. We have done one lake rejuvenation in Bangalore, Sitaram Palya Lake rejuvenation. So, and we have a scope for further rejuvenation of lakes. And we are, as part of water, we are coming up with a lot of eco ponds. Wherever we have a lateral development with us, there we are coming up with eco ponds where all the water, the rainwater, surface rainwater, runoff water, will go to collect in those eco ponds, which enhances the groundwater table of that surrounding area. And we also doing a lot of groundwater recharge efforts in all our projects. Then we also working on some of the environmental connected efforts like enhancing 10% net gain in biodiversity. So whatever the project we do, we go with a bare land to for the selection of land to develop any project. So we assess the biodiversity. Right now, to be frank, we are focused on the flora part. Most of our development happens in urban and semi-urban area. So fauna will be there, but not so significant. But right now we are focused only on the flora part. But as we have taken a 10% net gain target, so we are working on the roadmap to achieve the 10% net gain for all our development. So we are working with some of the big consultants to support us on this. Then the enhancing local sourcing. Local sourcing, as we enhance the local sourcing, our carbon emissions from the scope 3 would definitely get reduced. Managing scope 3 is challenge for any sector, any organization. So as we go local, the value chain emissions would definitely get reduced. So we have a target to achieve more than 50% of local sourcing within country, and we have 3 slabs within country, within state and within district. So we were working on enhancing our value chain from local as much as possible. And somebody was talking on assessing a value chain from ESG lens. We are doing actually. So we have come up with a SaaS-based ESG tool specifically for our industry, aligned with the targets what we have set. And we ourselves have formed the value chain assessment questionnaire from the ESG lens to assess the key suppliers. To begin with, we have shortlisted about 50 key suppliers with whom more than 80% of our sourcing happens. So we are assessing them from the ESG lens, and post which we're going to handle them. There are several capacity building sessions being done to take them with us, to align them with our targets. Then we also taken a target that whatever the project we going to develop, that will be a green building. whether it is commercial, whether it is residential, retail, hospitality, all our projects will go to be green building. That is it, and we have a target to achieve going for existing operational building the well certification. Well certification which addresses social element of the occupants. So we have the targets. The IWBI gives the well certification. Then under social, we have a target to achieve zero fatality. There has been a consistent effort from all of the engineering vertical as well as FM vertical to achieve zero fatality. We have been recording our IAR in our sustainability report and PRSR report. In our FM vertical, there has been no recordable incidents. Recordable in the sense the person who has met with some accident went out of the workspace and took some days to recover and come back. Those kind of incidents were nil in our FM vertical. There are, being a real estate and construction industry, definitely there will be incidents in the construction side, but our continuous efforts being there to reduce the accidents what we see there, but we see a decreasing trend there as well. Then our continuous effort being put on the enhancing the human rights and labor standards, then enhancing the DE, diversity, equity and inclusion across all our operations, enhancing women leadership. Okay. So much is there to share, but due to time constraints, so I just touch upon key points what we are doing. SMETA, the SEDEX members ethical trade audit, that is also we are working on UNGC membership for our CSR initiatives. Then aligning our HR process and policies as per ILO and UNGP. So we have a target to achieve 50% of women board members at our board by 2028. Some of the targets are quite ambitious, and we have set this for the organization, and we are in the right direction to achieve all these targets. So, as a sector, as our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken a net zero target for the organization to achieve by 2070. So, Niti Aayog is putting a lot of effort, and MOF in coordination with Niti Aayog, they are coming up with a lot of initiatives. Like recently, there was some 3 initiatives which can influence both real estate and other polluting industries, like rating for steel industries through their embodied carbon intensity. And very recently, I think a couple of weeks back, MOF came up with CND waste management rules 2025, where earlier we used to see for only e-waste, extended producer's responsibility was given. Now even for the construction and demolition waste, they have brought the CND waste extended producer's responsibility. There is a rating mechanism. We can go for a credit buying wherever we are not achieving the set targets. And one more thing is renewable energy consumption obligation. Very recently, Ministry of Power, they have come up with the target for a major energy consumers to adopt a renewable energy consumption, and there is a target given to each industries. So that is also there, which can influence real estate in a major way. And finally, the GHG emission intensity targets. Last week only it has come. For a real estate, cement, major 80% of our emissions come from steel, cement, concrete and aluminium. So this GHG emission intensity target has been given to both cement and aluminium industries, which will going to be a game changer for the sector. So we are working on this front, and thank you so much for all of you hearing me, bearing with me for the last 10 minutes to 10 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay Kumar. Our last speaker for the day is Mr. Suresh Krishnan, Regional Manager Infrastructure. Suresh Krishnan is a sustainable professional with over 17 years of experience in the industry. He works in the climate action team where he leads an initiative focused on maintaining the carbon neutrality and reducing greenhouse gas emission across various scopes. He has extensive experience leading sustainability initiatives in the manufacturing industry. He is also a member of the technical working group of the Greenhouse Gas Protocol Revision Committee, contributing towards advance of the global standards. I'm just going to discuss on the case study.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. So I have the pleasure of presenting all the aspects which has been discussed since the morning. So we have implemented most of the activities in our campus. So I'll be very quick because of the paucity of the time. So the climate change, that's why we are here today. Morning onwards, we are discussing this, why the climate change is important. And today it is no longer a discussion whether climate change is happening or not. We have increasing number of evidences, and we are getting this from time to time every year in terms of the excess precipitation or drought or the flooding which are happening because of this. And a lot of geopolitics and a lot of actions are happening around climate change today. We can see the global agreement and the COP happening every year, and the sector-specific mandates. The previous speakers have talked about the greenhouse gas intensity targets, which is being issued to the different sectors, which was earlier in the form of energy efficiency targets. Now it has converted to a carbon target. So this ultimately is happening and moving towards a changing consumer behavior. So everyone is contributing towards climate change, whether it is government, industry, and the human beings as it is. So if it is affecting the government, it is going to affect everyone individually as well as the industries. That is why the industries have to take the initiative in addressing the climate change impact. So what did Infosys do? Infosys started the journey of addressing the climate change in the year of 2008. We formed a very a specific team to address the climate change impacts. And in the year 2011, we voluntarily committed to become carbon neutral way before the 2015 Paris Agreement came. And we started focusing on the efforts towards becoming carbon neutral. And in 2020, we became carbon neutral for the first time. And since then, every year we are maintaining carbon neutrality, and we launched ESG Vision 2030, which had different targets in the form of climate change, water, and waste. So how did we become carbon neutral? We made a three-pronged approach. One is focusing on energy efficiency improvement. By doing that, we are reducing the emission, which otherwise would happen in our within our boundary. So this is going to reduce our scope 1 and 2 emission. And then we improved the renewable energy consumption in our operation. So with that, we are avoiding the emission, with that we are reducing the scope 2 emission. And then to mitigate the unavoidable emission, we developed our own carbon offset projects, and we got carbon credits from that project, and we utilized those carbon credits towards becoming carbon neutral. So all these projects are addressing 12 of 17 SDGs. So a little more detail on each of this project. Emission reduction, how did we achieve? As we are a software service industry, buildings are our major energy consumption centers. So how we can reduce the energy consumption within our building? Instead of reducing the energy consumption in the operation, we felt that in the design itself we should address. If we are able to design buildings for most optimal operation or most energy efficient operation, in the design phase itself, if we are able to establish that, then our efforts required in operation is very less. So we started, as I said, we had a team since 2008. We started collecting the data for our existing building through energy audit and the improved data collection. From that, we started designing our own more and more energy efficient building. The benefit is that Infosys operates on its own campuses in most of the cities rather than operating out of a leased building. So with that, our control over the data collection and operation was better. And we started designing building for more and more energy efficiency year on year, and we started designing building performance and monitoring building performance with the indicator called EPI, Energy Performance Index. This is nothing but the overall energy consumption in a building for on an annual basis. So in the when the industry standard was 100, we were designing for 70. Today we are designing the buildings for 60 EPI, 60 kilowatt hour per square meter per year, and we have ambition to reduce even further. So, and our operational day, once we design for 60, we are able to operate even at a lower than that. So that is a kind of a challenge we created for ourselves, and we started monitoring, and we started implementing on that. Second lever was on the renewable energy. We started implementing solar on all our rooftop. All our existing rooftops are covered with the solar PV panels. Then what we did, then we went beyond that, and we created an offsite solar park in the city of Sira in Karnataka, and we started wheeling power to our campuses. So today we are at 67% of our power consumption comes from renewable energy in the last financial year. This year we have increased even more than that. And then on the offset project, we targeted the rural households for the distribution of improved cook stove. With that, what happened is the ambient air quality in those households has increased. Either it is improved cook stove, or wherever the possible, we implemented the biogas as well. So with that, we are either avoiding the wood as a fuel, or we are avoiding the LPG. So we are able to utilize the renewable biogas coming out of the cow dung, and we are able to utilize that for the households, and with that the emission reduction is also happening, as well as the improved indoor air quality. So this is a glimpses of what we have done with respect to energy efficiency. The major portion comes from the addressing the challenges in the design phase itself. So some of the design phase, and then the improved data monitoring through the BMS what we built for ourselves, building management system. So supervision data comes to our command center, where we are able to monitor the drive level or operating fan level data consumption happening elsewhere in the country, or maybe our offices in Chandigarh or maybe Jaipur. We are able to monitor from the central command center, and we are able to control or take action if there is any gap in the operation. So overall, the benefit is we are able to reduce 36 megawatt of connected load, which otherwise we would have required. So impact, if you are able to see here, when from 2008 to 20, when the manpower or the resource increased by 166%, our energy consumption has gone up by only 20% in terms of absolute energy consumption, or a 55% reduction in the per capita electricity consumption. We are able to decouple the growth with respect to the resource consumption. And on the renewable energy, as I said, 60 megawatt is our installed capacity as of now. And last year, our 67% of our power consumption came from renewable energy, out of which 40% is from our own captive, and remaining we have made PPAs in couple of states. And again, we have made use of green tariff facility made by the discoms in couple of states. And 33% comes from grid as on last year. So overall, what we are able to see here is the scope 1 and 2 emission. Scope 1 emission is whatever emission happening because of our own operation within our facility. Scope 2 is with respect to electricity consumption. Scope 1 and 2 emission, from the 2008, we are able to see a clear trend of reducing trend over the years. Scope 3 is outside our boundary, which is not entirely in our control. Still, we are trying to control as much as possible. Same thing when we see on the intensity part. Intensity is emission per million US dollar revenue. Same trend is observed. Scope 1 and 2, we are able to reduce to a very, very low value. Scope 3 is also reducing. From 2008, because since when we started the efforts, we are able to see a 77% reduction in the emission intensity. So this is a glimpse of carbon offset project, what we are doing in terms of efficient cook stove and a biogas distribution. On the water also, like my previous speaker was speaking on water and CO2 emission. So if if we can do a focused effort on energy reduction, we can do a similar efforts on water as well. So we followed the reduce, recycle, reuse principle, and then we built rainwater harvest ponds and lakes within our campuses, so that we are able to harvest more water. And we have 40 lakes within our campuses and 405 deep recharge wells, so which will collect the rainwater and feed it to the underground uh, uh, underground where we can store the water. Similar trend on energy, how we have seen the decreasing trend, same trend we have observed on the water as well. So 64% reduction on per capita water consumption we have observed since 2008. And these are all the efforts what we have put. Now coming to the external validation, how it has helped in overall industry ecosystem. If you are seeing, we have SBTI targets, and in terms of disclosure, we have all the existing disclosure we disclose through ESG report and data book. And then on the CDP we are disclosing since last 15 years. And then we were the first company to disclose the work from home emission. When COVID came in 2020, our scope to emission has gone down drastically because the office operations have all stopped or reduced. So we devised a method, a survey based method, to disclose the work from home emission, and we started disclosing that in 2021 onwards. And we are a signatory to net zero by 2040 because we are a signatory to the climate pledge, and we are working towards that. In terms of the scores, what we have got, different agency. In the morning, Mr. Samcharian was highlighting the importance of EcoVadis score, how it is relevant to the smaller companies also today. So we have worked on the CDP. We launched CDP supply chain program 2 years back, and we helped 350 of our suppliers to start disclosing in the CDP platform. And we handheld them in terms of the emission disclosure. We made them understand what is scope 1 emission, what is scope 2 emission, and how to report that. So in the last year, we handled around 350 of our suppliers, especially in the medium, small and medium enterprise category. And with that, they started their journey of disclosure and environment actions, basically. And we are rated by most of the leading rating agencies, and we are in the leadership category in almost all of them. Apart from that, we showcase our building as we are embarking on net zero journey. We showcase our building, and it is not that we are just uh, issuing in terms of, disclosing in terms of reports. It is live action. So one of our building is selected as 100 iconic building by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency in the India's G20 presidency. So the G20 delegates have also visited our campus. And since then, many delegations are visiting our Bangalore campus and seeing how we are able to reduce, or how we are able to talk about 70 as EPI, when other buildings, average buildings, are at 100 or more than that. And then, as I already explained, the supply chain engagement. We had a in-person training as well as offline trainings for offline and online training for most of the 350 suppliers last year. And with the academia collaboration, we have solar decathlon in the Mysore campus, which we will be hosting this year as well. And then most of our activities are in the buildings sector was disclosed in the form of a book last year, which is also there in the public domain, which was launched by Rocky Mountain Institute Professor Amori Lovins. He visited, and he himself has written forward for that. Another important association what we are having since last year is Assure. It is a platform for showcasing our efforts in the real estate space, and we are again inviting the leading building real estate players to come and visit our campus and understand the energy efficiency and the renewable energy aspects for how we have built, so that the entire ecosystem is also developed to that level. This is an initiative launched by Mr. Nandan Nilekani himself, and it is his brainchild, and we are showcasing our efforts through this platform. These are all the accolades what we have received from other leading rating agencies. And as I said, we are ongoing targets we have is on the climate change is to maintain carbon neutrality and reduce our scope 1, 2, 3 emission. And on the water, we have 100% wastewater recycling every year as a target, and which are already achieved, and ensuring zero waste to landfill. Thank you.
Thank you, Suresh, and thanks to the speakers. I think it was a very interesting topic and interesting for all the panelists also. We have come to the end of this first forum, and I think we break. This is a question and answer, or should we break for? Huh? Yeah, we'll just have 5 minutes. We probably have 2-3 questions, and then we'll break for lunch.
Mike.
This is a question to Mr. Vijay. With the recent rules and regulations in CMD and the implementation of EPR, what will be the drastic sustainability actions which the construction ministry, particularly not the bigger establishments like yours, but the mid-tier and the low-tier construction businesses will have to face? And is India prepared for the infrastructure? Because 2016 was the year CND rules came in, but till date I have not seen a CND unit functional in Karnataka.
It is there. It is there. Only one unit is there in Bangalore. That is the real challenge, even for any developer, be it A grade or B grade or C grade developers. That is a real challenge we face. So what we are doing that, so we are working on a model to have our in-house CND based management facility wherever we have a cluster of project and wherever we have integrated big projects to enhance the reuse and bringing the circularity into our development. By that, the scope 3 emission definitely get reduced. So definitely there is challenge. None of the governments, I would say Karnataka especially, they are not focusing on giving a support to the industries and the sector in the way they are bringing a lot of regulations. So when they bring the regulation, parallelly there should be a roadmap to support the industry. It should be an inclusive effort. It's just not imposing anything on industries to strictly follow and do it. If you have only one the recycling plant in the city, OAS city, Bangalore, that was not part of Bangalore, and if anybody is developing from south, east or west part of Bangalore, it's a huge distance from the development to the CND waste location. The transportation emission adds up to against scope 3 emissions, and the cost of managing the waste also enhances. So there is a challenge, but we need to try as much as possible to utilize the waste within your development, within your sites to maximum extent. By that, your dependency on the common CND waste facilities are reduced. That in that direction we are working on. So I think every builder should focus there. Otherwise, CND waste is not a hazardous waste. But having said that, if the government notifies some of the places to go on low-lying areas at least with proper regulation to support the developers to manage their waste, that would be helpful. So this is what we are doing. I think even in Mysore also there is only one location notified. So we do develop in Mysore also. Somewhere we have started they have notified the area. So we are trying our best to reduce the waste because we have adopted my one construction technology where the waste, CND waste is very less, and we don't buy any existing buildings and demolish and construct. Very, I think only one project we have done like that we have done as per the rules and regulations. Because CND waste management compliance comes with your environmental clearance compliances. So we do that. Open and answer.
Brigade or Prestige, the bigger establishments will be able to adapt to the changing regulations. As a small property developer or a small business trying to do a construction, That is where the huge challenge lies.
Yes, that's what I mentioned. Inclusive efforts should be there from the government, not only bringing the regulation but also hand over the low and medium developers.
CND waste, 2016 SW rules came, CND came, we also work with the same waste in Bangalore. Surprisingly, rock is a very good firm. He has taken a PPP land is going, he has invested money. I was surprised that the contractor on the same site doesn't use that resource. PPP does not mandate. The rules are there, but there is no enforcement. The nearest contractor who is not even 100 meters away in the same site presently, he refuses to use. So it's a very complex question. Waste to resource is good, SSLA cost is good, but issue is how do you make it happen? Big challenge, enforcement lacks, but it's a really good resource. Mysore, we are nearing it for the last 3 years now. Every time newspaper comes, there is an MOU made, but on the ground, nothing. It's quite interesting.
To add to that, it's happening even in the water sector, where apartments have excess treated water and they don't know where to send it.
Yeah, I think with this, I think we come to the end of the program. I'm very sorry.
To answer that question.
Yeah, please.
So there is a tanker wall concept in Bangalore. The big tankers are there. So if you subscribe that, wherever there is a surplus water, they will come and they'll check the quality and they'll give it to the needy people. So that there is a concept, but it's not widely spread across the city, but you can utilize that. But from the regulation point of view, again they say it is not our cup of tea. So everything will be passed on to the end users.
Only the charge will be for this collecting the wastewater. Is the society charge or is the there's a revenue you can
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, and thanks for the useful talk, and thanks audience for the patience hearing. And I think we'll be breaking for lunch. Yeah, I think we have a token of appreciation. Thank you, and we will reassemble at 2:15. 2:15, yeah, after the lunch. Thank you. I think we have to stand here.
Yes, there is a small announcement for everyone. The lunch is arranged in the first floor and everyone please be here at 2:15 for the next session. Thank you all.